Carlos Alcaraz reaches his second Roland Garros final after Lorenzo Musetti's withdrawal. Can you imagine reaching a Grand Slam final without finishing the semi-final match? That's exactly what happened to Carlos Alcaraz at Roland Garros 2025. After a tough start against Lorenzo Musetti, the young Spanish prodigy once again showed his ability to adapt, his physical strength, and, above all, his champion mentality. But the story doesn't end there. Musetti was forced to withdraw due to injury, clearing the way for Charlie to play his second consecutive final at Philippe Chatrier. So what really happened? Is Alcaraz ready to claim another title in Paris? Stay with us and find out all the details. Carlos Alcaraz is already in the 2025 Roland Garros final. The Mercian reached his second straight final after an emotional semi-final against Lorenzo Musetti, who was forced to retire due to injury when the score was already clearly favoring the Spaniard, 4-6, 7-6-3, 6-0, and 2-0. It all began with an explosive and brave Musetti, who managed to put the defending champion on the ropes in the first set. The Italian, with his one-handed backhand and great tactical skill, broke Alcaraz's serve and took the opening set 6-4. During that stretch, the Mercian looked erratic, uncomfortable, and somewhat off in his decision-making. But if there's one thing that defines Carlos Alcaraz, it's his ability to turn adversity into opportunity. In the second set, the Spaniard started to raise his level, adjusted his shots, increased his aggression, and became much more solid from the baseline. Musetti held firm and took the set to a tie break, but that's when Carlitos' most competitive side came out. The player from El Palmar won the breaker 7-3 and made it clear that he was ready for a comeback. At that point, the match completely changed. The emotional strain was evident on the Italian's face, while Alcaraz regained his smile and control of the match. The third set was a true tennis masterclass from Alcaraz. Fast, powerful, and brimming with confidence, the Spaniard earned 3 consecutive breaks and posted a 6-0 that left Musetti with no room to respond. On every point, Carlitos showed a mix of natural talent and tactical maturity that amazed the crowd. It was a storm. The precision of his forehand, his tireless movement, and his game reading made any kind of response from the Italian impossible. The dominance was total, and what started as a battle turned into a sentence. The fourth set barely got underway. With Alcaraz leading 2-0, Musetti made the painful decision to retire due to injury. The accumulated fatigue, the pain, and the frustration were written all over his face as he crossed the court to shake the umpire's hand. Alcaraz, showing respect and sportsmanship, consoled his opponent and then thanked the crowd for their support. In this way, Carlos Alcaraz qualifies for his second consecutive Roland Garros final and takes another step toward becoming the new king of the Parisian clay. With this result, Alcaraz confirms himself as a dominant force in today's tennis. Since breaking into the elite in 2022, he has built a brilliant career. He's already won the US Open, Wimbledon twice, and Roland Garros in 2024. Now, he has a chance to defend his crown in Paris. This semi-final, although marked by Musetti's retirement, once again highlighted the Mercian's ability to survive critical moments, react with maturity, and ultimately impose his unmistakable style. His charismatic and electric tennis has taken him to another Grand Slam final, where he will look to further expand his legend. How much money did Carlos Alcaraz earn for reaching the Roland Garros 2025 final? The Spaniard is aiming to defend his title in Paris and will play the decisive match on Sunday in pursuit of his 5th Grand Slam. When Carlos Alcaraz and Lorenzo Musetti won their quarterfinal matches, their semi-final showdown was expected to be the match of the tournament. While Jannik Sinner is a fierce competitor, on this surface in particular, Carlitos and Lolo had the best clay season in Europe. The match on Philippe Chatrier started with incredible intensity from the Italian, who took the first set 6-4. The Spaniard stepped on the gas and won a tight second set 7-6. He then stormed through the third, taking it 6-0 in just 21 minutes. In the fourth, Musetti couldn't go on physically and retired trailing 2-0. With this result, 4-6, 7-6, 6-0, 2-0, retired, Carlos Alcaraz reaches the Roland Garros final again and remains alive in his quest to defend the title. It's worth remembering that in 2024, he won a thrilling final against Alexander Zverev to claim his first title in the French capital, adding to his 3 previous majors, the US Open in 2022 and Wimbledon in 2023, and later winning a 4th by defeating Djokovic in the 2024 Wimbledon final. How much money did Carlos Alcaraz secure by reaching the Roland Garros final? Gradually, all tournaments are increasing the prize money compared to previous editions, and Roland Garros is no exception. This time, Carlos Alcaraz has secured at least €1,275,000 for being a finalist in the French capital. If he wins the title, that amount will double to €2,550,000. Beyond the money, what drives the Spaniard is the glory, adding more Grand Slam titles at a young age and dreaming of one day catching up with the legends of the sport like Novak Djokovic, 24 Gs, Rafael Nadal, 22 Gs, or Roger Federer, 20 Gs. Who will he face in the final? Carlos Alcaraz's opponent in the Roland Garros 2025 final will be known Friday afternoon. Novak Djokovic and Jannik Sinner face off in the other semifinal in what promises to be an exciting match. The Italian arrives after reaching the Rome final, where he lost in straight sets to Carlos Alcaraz, and is aiming for his first Roland Garros title. Djokovic, on the other hand, didn't have a great European clay swing, but always grows stronger in major tournaments. The Serbian is chasing his 25th Grand Slam title. Alcaraz to face Djokovic or Sinner again in a Roland Garros final. The Mercian reacts after dropping the first set and advances to the final after the Italian's retirement, 4-6, 7-6, 6-0, 2-0. Carlos Alcaraz is in the Roland Garros final. The Mercian earned a hard-fought victory on Friday over Lorenzo Musetti in a match that started against him but ended entirely in his favor before the Italian retired. The Spanish world number 2 once again showed his adaptability, patience, and mental toughness, bouncing back from a rough start and delivering a high level in the crucial moments of the second set tiebreak. The first set, 4-6, was dominated by a focused and demanding Musetti, who surprised Alcaraz with aggressive and precise play, showing his best version. The Italian, solid from the baseline and with great movement, set the pace and didn't allow the Spaniard to find his rhythm. Alcaraz remained patient and didn't fall apart. Through consistency and tactical adjustments, he gained confidence and brought the second set to a tiebreak. There, he delivered his best tennis, solid on serve, aggressive on return, and more relaxed with his winners. That reaction earned him the second set, 7-6, and marked a shift in momentum. The third set was a blowout. Alcaraz posted a bagel, 6-0, overwhelming a physically struggling Musetti. The Spaniard played with confidence, fluidity, and an intensity that the Italian simply couldn't match, barely managing to stay on the court. The fourth set continued in the same vein. Alcaraz broke Musetti's serve in the second game and went up 2-0 when the Carrera native was forced to retire due to a left leg injury. Musetti had shown difficulties moving at the level of the first two sets from the start, and ultimately opted to withdraw. Thus, the player from El Palmar returns to the Roland Garros final, where he will seek to win his second title on the Parisian clay. His opponent will come from the match between Novak Djokovic and Jannik Sinner. Sunday's final will be another chance for Alcaraz to continue making history and cement his place among the sport's great champions. Alcaraz takes a photo of Nadal's plaque before the semifinals. The Mercian said it would serve as inspiration for his matches at Philippe Chatrier. Carlos Alcaraz practiced this Friday on court Philippe Chatrier before his semifinal match with Lorenzo Musetti. The Mercian tennis player took a photo of Rafael Nadal's plaque at the end of the session using his mobile phone. It was his first training session on the center court since the tournament began. Alcaraz, who didn't miss the tribute to Nadal on Sunday, May 25, said he would use the legacy of the 22-time Grand Slam champion as inspiration in his matches. "I hope to take a little bit of Rafa's spirit." Carlos Alcaraz: "Probably if I face a really tough moment in a match, I'll walk over closer and say I hope to take a little bit of Rafa's spirit," said the defending champion. Let's remember that the Mercian and Nadal played doubles together at the last Paris Olympics and teamed up at the French Open, reaching the quarterfinals. Juan Carlos Ferrero and Samuel Lopez, coaches of the four-time Grand Slam winner, were next to pose in front of the Balearic Legends plaque. Alcaraz and the rest of his team took a photo in the middle of the court before the semifinal. Three-time Roland Garros champion Gustavo Kuerten was the surprise guest at Alcaraz's practice. The Brazilian met the El Palmar phenomenon during his appearances at the Rio Open. The day after Carlos Alcaraz's best performance in the current edition of Roland Garros, which ended with a convincing win over American Tommy Paul, Juan Carlos Ferrero met with Spanish press representatives in one of the media center rooms. No transcript, no audio or video recording, almost clandestinely, the coach spoke about his work with the tournament's defending champion, who was set to face Lorenzo Musetti on Friday for a spot in the final and had a light training session on court 2 on Wednesday. Have you noticed a change in Alcaraz's maturity on and off the court? He matures more each year, it's the law of life. From 2024 to now, you can see it more on court, in how he reacts to problems. He used to be a bit more emotional. Now he still has a tantrum here or there, but they're minor on-court issues that any player experiences, and he handles them better. And these top players win more than they lose, but when problems come, he solves them. With his tennis at such a high level, do you now work more on mentality than technical aspects? We've tried to work with him for a long time so that he has clear routines, in pre-match talks, so he knows what to rely on when problems arise. That's what we aim for, to give him the confidence to talk about the match or whatever, so he knows we're there for him. Carlos used the word work instead of fun after beating Paul. Is that closer to your ideal version of him as a player? Carlos has the level of that match, but it's very hard to produce it every time. When he plays without fear, with courage, he's a player with a potential we still haven't fully seen. But there's another side: pressure, challenges, the type of opponent, a tournament he wants to win more than others, fear. And the importance we all give it also matters. If he plays forward, without pressure, he's truly outstanding. Hopefully he plays like that, but he can't always. He knows he has to work on consistency, but maintaining the kind of intensity he showed hitting the ball is very hard to achieve. Against Paul, everything worked, but it won't always be like that. He might rack up 30 errors and not shine as much. We want him to keep it up, especially on clay, where sometimes you play with more topspin. But doing that every time is tough.